Hey y'all, how are y'all doing today? YOLO, YOLO from Texas. You only live once. I'm gonna play with some rust. Maybe not the real deal, but this is definitely Stephanie's rust crust here. So, I got a recipe from the Graphics Fairy, and I got that from another YouTuber by the name of Tracy. Check out her videos. She does an amazing job on her different projects, and she is the one that inspired me to get my mojo back to rolling again. So I've got some projects in the future that I'm planning to work with, and I needed some rust crust. So I didn't have any, and I thought I'd make my own, and since she offered it through the Graphics Fairy, I thought I'd share it with you guys. However, if anyone knows, you know I'm going to Stephanize it. So, though there is a Graphics Fairy recipe to this stuff, improvise, adapt, and overcome when you don't have what they have. So, I had all the products, I just didn't have the proper color of all the paints. I had the majority of it, but yeah. So, of course, then I had to put my 2 cents in it and add stuff that's not in the recipe, which is what you'll see me do here. Now, the first thing that I've done for you is put in a tablespoon of a tablespoon or so. Yeah, I didn't really have a tablespoon, so I looked it up to make sure I was proper, and what I read was you could do 3 teaspoons to get a tablespoon. So I put in 1 tablespoon, or was it supposed to be 2 tablespoons? Either way, I will link the Graphics Fairy recipe so that you won't have any questions on the actual recipe. So what you want to do is take some joint compound, which in my case I just use some spackling paste that you just can get in the hardware department or the paint department at Walmart or any local hardware store. And then you're also going to want some fine grained sand. Now, for the rust, I did a little grittier style sand that I got from the Dollar Tree. And then my patinas, I used a little more of a finer sand. You could use either, but I would suggest on any of them, definitely go as fine as you can. So anyways, you basically just put joint compound, which is like a spackling, or, you know, the fancy ones they use all the time in different mixed medias. I, on the other hand, do not use the fancy stuff. Here and there I might have some, but, you know. Anyway, joint compound, and then you want to add your tacky glue. Now, I do suggest the tacky glue. It's got a nice thickness to it, and you want to use about a tablespoon of that. I had these little tiny ones, like you saw, the little tiny bottles, and it was like 60 cents fluid ounces, and I just poured the whole thing into one dish, and that seemed to work out really good for this. And then, of course, you want a chocolatey brown paint. Initially, the paint that I pulled was, you know, like a nutmeg brown, and quite frankly, I didn't like it. It kind of looked more like doo-doo brown, so I pulled out the melted chocolate. The melted chocolate color, because that's as dark of a brown as I got. Plus, I added a little black, and then you'll notice, and the black was called Pavement, I think, on the Apple Barrel brand. But later I also pull out a metallic, and it was called the Sequence Black, that I used in the other rust crust that I make here. So I'm making 3 different colors of rust crust. So here is the 3 little tablespoons that's supposed to make up 3 teaspoons that's supposed to make up 2 tablespoons. So it's 3 teaspoons times 2. And if I didn't confuse you enough, just go to the link that I've provided for you in this in this video. Also, there's the little container, and I do it one more time because I knew that you might want to see it again, because I do have it in time lapse. So just a full little container of that will do the trick. A couple of tablespoons of the joint compound, and a couple of tablespoons of the fine grained sand. So this one is going to be more of my orangey color, And if you'll notice, I added a little yellow and a little red because I didn't have my orange pulled out. I have some paints in the Rolling Studio, and believe me, they were packed away tightly, and I didn't feel like pulling them out. So I happened to have recently bought some acrylic paints from Walmart. I just picked them up because I knew I wanted to do this real quick, and I didn't feel like digging them out. And it's always good to have a little extra paint on you anyway. So I made my own orange. It looks more like a pumpkin orange, if you will. So it's kind of a deep orange. But you're going to want to tone that down, and I'll show you that here in a minute. You can go by the recipe, or you can just kind of create it your own way. I did it basically by the recipe, but then of course when it came to colorizing it, I just added and added more of what I wanted to see inside of my rust crust paste. So you just do your own thing. So I'm going to mix that up, and we'll go to the next color. Oh, here's that sequence black. That's what that is. It's the the folk art brand, and I put a little sequence black just because I don't know why. I just wanted some shimmer in my rust crust. Maybe give the illusion of some metal. Just add it to your likings, but it's technically supposed to be 2 tablespoons of compound joint, 2 tablespoons of fine grate sand, I think a tablespoon of the Tacky Glue, and 2 drops of your paint. Of course, I am not a measurer, so I tried to and it didn't work out. I just started winging it. And then here is the last color. It is going to be a brighter yellow, so I put all yellow in there, and then I used my leftover orange in it, which is orange. So I put my orange in it. I know I'm silly and stupid. And then I actually added a little bit of metallic, just because why not? It's mine, and it's my paint, and I can play with it if I want to. As can you. YOLO. So anyways, I'm going to mix these up, and then here shortly we'll be on to the patinas. By the way, I meant to mention the little containers that I'm using to put my rust crust and patina paints in are those magnet paperclip holders that you get at the Dollar Tree. Now, these are not the small ones. They had some wide mouth ones, and those are the ones that I picked up for this. I just thought they were cool. I'm hoping they'll seal good. I don't know yet. I'll let you know in the future if my rust crust is dried out. But I like the clear window that it gives you to look at it, and it just seemed like a cool container to try to use this in. So I also got these little clear square cups from the Dollar Tree as well. They were parfait servers that they had there, so I picked that up. And then of course, I'm adding the color to make it the colors that I want. This one's more of the yellow rust crust, but it's definitely a tint lighter than that other one that we made, which was more of a burnt orange, if you will. And so yeah, that's what I got the containers from. And there you go, all 3 of the rust crust bases. I was thinking I would probably in the future make a red one. I don't know, some kind of a brick red color I think would be also cool to tone down some of those other tones in projects. Now, this is the extra fine sand. Here are my components to add the sand into for the patina. Now, I'm using a more fine grit sand for the patinas because I just don't think they need to be as gritty as the other rust crust. Now you can do whatever you want. It probably worked just fine whether you use this one or whether you use that other one. I think actually this fine sand right here, I actually think I got from the Dollar General about a year ago. And oops, I overspilled that, so I went back over here. So I mean, really, it's just once you start playing with it, you kind of see that you want a creamy mixture, not too dry. On the rust crust, I got it a little thicker, but on the patinas, I wanted them to be a little more smooth in texture. So that's why I use the finer grade sand. Here you should use a light green. Unfortunately, all I had was this bright limeade green for light green. And then I ended up toning it down with some of this Laguna. And then I added some other greens to it as well. I think the next one I use is a Kelly green. But I hate that I'm a little bit out of frame here, but I think you can still see it. I used a little bit of an old bottle of Tacky Glue. I don't know if the old bottle of Tacky Glue is my problem here, or if it's the content and the chemical base of the paint. For whatever reason, this particular patina went really sticky on me. So right here, I'm trying to moisten it up, thinking that this will solve my issue, and it turns out it only made it more gummy. I ended up having a gummy paste, but you know, I don't give up that easy, and I'm not about to waste my product. So I reached for, sorry, I'm outside of my truck and I'm getting a new steer tire put in, so you might be hearing the guys work on my wheel. Sorry, it is the rolling studio, you guys. So I figured that my solution, once I get the green tone that I want, I actually start adding different blues, because I need a more patina colored green. And I think this dark blue just did the trick for me. So I was really happy about that, but I still had the gummy issue. Now, what you saw me do right there was add some craft glue. It's some non-brand name craft glue that I got from the Dollar Tree. They have them 3 to a pack. And when I added that in, it took the gummy away and made it creamy again. And that's the consistency that we're looking for. This creamy patina, gritty. It's still gritty, but it's not gummy. And that little bit of craft glue just really made a difference. So I decided, since whatever my problem was previous to, I would go ahead and add craft glue to my new aqua toned patina. So this is the blue one. This is where you do the blue. And I love blue. Did I tell you I love blue? I love blue. All colors, all shades of blue I just love. I felt that the aqua was a little too aqua, and I wanted to tone that down as well. And so therefore I added a little drop of that Laguna blue in with the aqua blue. I thought it was a perfect one. A little more craft glue, and that ought to do the trick. Again, a soft, creamy, gritty mix is what we're looking for, and I think this is going to work out perfectly. I just hope that these containers that I purchased will keep my patinas and rust crust from drying out before I get a chance to use them, because I just needed to make this video and make my rust crust and my patina paste so that I can move forward on some of my projects that I'm looking to do. And you know, it never hurts to go back and readjust your colors, and that's what I'm doing here. I wanted it just a little. Okay, sorry about that. I had a little interruption, and I don't even recall combination together makes an amazing rusty effect. So once I get a chance to use them, I truly hope that it works out, and I'll let you guys know. I will be doing a future project, hopefully in the very near future. And I guess when I get a chance, you guys will see it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I know it's a little bit out there. I'm a little bit everywhere, but that's how Stephanie does it. Again, I will post the Graphics Fairies link to their rust paste and their patinas, and you can look for them yourself and look them up if you don't want to go by what I've done here. So there you go. You're the artist. Make it happen, Captain. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.